Good evening and welcome back. Today we are picking up from where we left off yesterday. So the last exercise we did was in part 2 and it was called summation. I've got smallest completed, so I'll add that in straight after the intro now, and then we'll move on as usual and get the rest of this one finished in today's video, and then we can move on to the end questionnaire. And then I believe we're going to make a start on part 3. So this is going to be quite a nice video to end on. We've got some really good challenges coming up. Looks like there's about 6 or 7 or so, and some of them are multi-part challenges as well. So something really good that we can get our teeth sunk into. So without further ado, I will get us over to the first challenge. So define a 2-parameter method called smallest that returns the smaller of 2 numbers passed to it as parameters. Okay, cool. So write your code here, do not print anything inside the method, there must be a return command at the end. Nice. Okay. Right. So what we can do for this one is create an integer called smallest, and then we can use an if statement to figure out what smallest is. In fact, actually, we don't need to use an int called smallest. I'll show you both ways, the way that I was originally thinking, and then the way that I'm now thinking. So we could say if number 1 is less than number 2, do return smallest. Return number 1. So we could say, I don't know, number 1 is equal to smallest and return smallest. But this way is probably a little bit better because we don't need to create that extra variable and that extra line. So if number 1 is less than number 2, return number 1. And if it's not, there's only one other option, return number 2. So let's give that a test and see what we get back. I should probably test it first actually, shouldn't I? Oh great, we passed. Excellent. Cool. Let's close that one. And let's see what's next. Define a method called greatest that takes 3 numbers and returns the greatest of them. If there are multiple greatest values, returning one of them is enough. Printing will take place in the main program. Okay. So here we go. So we can do if number 1 is greater than number 2, return number 1. Is that really what we want? Do we want to return number 1? No, we don't, do we? Or do we? No, because we haven't tested to see if it's greater than number 3 yet, have we? So what we can do is say int greatest. So greatest equals number 1. If, so we need an else, don't we? So else greatest is equal to number 2. Then we can do if number 3 is greater than greatest, greatest equals number 3, and then at the bottom we'll just return greatest. I'm not sure about that. Let's give that a run and see what we get back. Cool, that did pass. Let's go back here. Oh, I was going to have a look and see what their solution was, but it's a bit of a chew to get to. But if you want to do it, it's on the TMC. In fact, let's have a go. TMC netbeans login. Where is it? MOOCify. Oh, there's my email address. We want it in English. University of Helsinki's massive open online course. So let's find Java 1. What one did we just do? Greatest. So part 2. Right, I'll quickly give this a read. I'll pause it for a second while I read it. Here's in the first 4 lines. There you go. Oh, that's kind of exactly what we did. Int greatest is equal to 1. Okay, so they've done it with one less sort of bit of statement. They didn't put the else in. So they automatically or instantly set greatest to 1, then compared number 2 to greatest and then number 3 to greatest. That makes sense. That's interesting. Cool, let's close that. And then averaging. So create a method called average that calculates the average of the numbers passed as parameters. The previously created method sum must be used inside the method. Define the method in the following template. So public static int sum num1, 2, 3, and 4. Public static double num1, 2, 3, 4. Double result. Okay, cool. Right, let's close this one. So I'm thinking of a solution where we link the 2 methods together. So let's have a think. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that they're only expecting one method to return to result here. So we can call this method inside this method and return the answer. So let's do the maths here. So let's delete that, and we're going to do it the sort of shorthand way. So we're going to do number 1. Do you know what? I'm going to copy number. Save typing it out so much. Plus number 2, oops. Plus number 4. Awesome. So where are we going to get the numbers from? Let's see what they say, because we're obviously going to need to pass some numbers to it, aren't we? Okay, right. I'm going to write something out, and then we'll test it and see what we get back. So the first thing we're going to do is call sum, and we are going to store sum in a double. So double sum is equal to sum. Oh, yeah, that was right. And we need to pass it some numbers. So let's do 4, 3, 6, and 1. And then we're not going to return -1. We're going to return sum. Let's give that a run locally. Just make sure we haven't broken anything. Let's drag that back down there. There we go. 14. Okay. Let's give it a run against the server. See what we get back. Always makes me a bit worried when I have to wait ages for the answer. Oh, and for good reason. Okay, so we got average test started, average in test correct average. The average of -12, 2, 8, and 0 is not correct. You are doing the division. Why are you doing the division with integers? That's a good question. Do you know what? I'm not actually doing any division, am I? Yeah, I haven't put the division in. Right, okay, so double sum is equal to that sum, and then I need to divide it by 4. Honestly. Okay, so we've got another fail. So it's expected a half, but was 3. So let's have a look at these messages. 4.0. Right, let's have another look at that. Make sure that looks correct, and then we'll give it a run. Actually, I'm just going to change this slightly. So these shouldn't be hard-coded numbers. And what we can do is return it here on that line. So let's have a look at that. Okay, let's give that a run. I feel a bit more confident on this one. And there we go, we passed. Excellent. So more speed, less taste, I think they say, don't they? So let's close this down. And then we'll head back to... Oh, why does that keep going up there? We'll head back to here, and let's see what the next one is. So execution of method calls and the call stack. How does the computer remember where to return after the execution of a method? The environment that executes Java source code keeps track of the method being executed in the call stack. The call stack contains frames, each of which includes information about a specific method's internal variables and their values. When a method is called, a new frame containing its variables is created on the call stack. When the execution of the method ends, the frame relating to a method is removed from the call stack. which leads to execution resuming at the previous method of the stack. The right side of the visualization shows the function of the call stack. When a method is called, a new frame is created in the stack which is removed upon exit from the method call. So let's run through here. There we go, added to the stack. So we've got 5 and then 16, which is the line number, and it runs through that, heads back to, it removes that one from the stack, heads back to line 7, then it's adding 15 or line 15 to the stack again because they're calling greets, then it will return, so there we've got the return, then it will add it to the stack again, and so on. Okay, so I've got to click through it, otherwise my OCD will go off. There we go. So when a method is called, the execution of the calling method is left waiting for the execution of the called method to end. This can be visualized with the help of a call stack. The call stack refers to the stack formed by the method calls. The method currently being executed is always on top of the stack, and when that method has finished execution, the execution moves on to the method that is next in the stack. Let's examine the following program. So execution begins from the first line of the main method. So here we've got the main, and then we've got the print hello world. So at the moment the call stack will look like this because it's the only method that we're using. But when we get here to this line, we add print number to the top of the stack. So once print command has been executed, we move on to the next command, which calls the method print number. Calling this method moves the execution of the program to the beginning of the method print number. So there we go, that's why it's added to the stack. Meanwhile, the main method will wait for the execution of the method print number to end, while inside the method print number the call stack looks like this. So there we go. As soon as the string is printed, it will be removed from the stack, and then there'll just be our main again. So once the method print number completes, we return to the method that is immediately below the method print number. So here is the method, this is the method immediately below it, which in this case is the main. Print number is removed from the call stack, and the execution continues from the line after the print number method called in the main method. The state of the call stack is now the following, and there we go, we've got our main there. Call stack and method parameters. Let's examine the call stack in the situation where parameters have been defined for the method. So we've got int beginning equals 1, int end equals 5, print stack beginning end, and while beginning is less than end, system out print asterisk beginning plus plus. Okay. The execution of the program begins on the first line of the main method. The next two lines create the variable beginning and end, and also assign values to them. The state of the program prior to calling the method print starts. So we've got our main, and then we've got our variables. When print starts is called, the main method enters a waiting area, or a waiting state. The method call causes new variables beginning and end to be created for the method print stars, to which the values passed as parameters are assigned to. These values are copied from the variables beginning and end of the main method. The state of the program on the first line of the execution of the method print stars is illustrated below. So because we've gone from our main, past our variables and then called print stars, main is pushed to the bottom of the stack, and then print stars is put at the top because it's the last called method, and then it gets its variables and then numbers assigned to them. When the command beginning plus plus is executed within the loop, the value of the variable beginning that belongs to method currently being executed changes, so that the method currently being executed is print stars. As such, the values of the variables in the main method remain unchanged. The execution of the method print start would continue for some time after this. When the execution of that method ends, the execution resumes inside the main method. Let's observe the same program of visualizing its execution step by step. The application used for visualization grows the call stack downwards on the right side. The method on top is always main, under which go the methods being called. So because the main is our main entry point into the program, it's always going to be the first at the top or at the bottom, depending on if more things are being called after it. So you can see that we've got our stack here, and our variables are being updated as we go through. So as soon as we have got our return void, we head back up here. Print stars is removed from the stack, and then we've got our main again. And there we go, return void. So call stack and returning a value from a method. Let's now study an example where the method returns a value. The main method of the program calls a separate start method, inside of which two variables are created. The sum method is called, and the value returned by the sum method is printed. So we've got start here. So we've got our main on the stack. We call start, that's going to go on the stack. We're going to add the variables, so these ones. Then we've got, so actually this one is going to add this to the stack, isn't it? Because it's going to be stored here. So let's have a read through that one. So at the beginning of the start method's execution, the call stack looks as in the following illustration, since it was called from the main. The main method has no variables of its own in this example, so we've got main is pushed to the bottom, start is the last method to be called, so it's at the top. When the variables first and second have been created in the start method, we add those to the stack as well. And then the command int sum equals sum first second, so that's a call to a method, creates the variable sum in the method start and calls the method sum. The method start enters a waiting state since the parameters number 1 and 2 are defined in the method sum. They are created right at the beginning of the method's execution, after which the values of the variables given as parameters are copied to them. So we've got start first is equal to 5 second 6, sum, so we've got, was it double sum or int sum? There we go, so int sum is equal to first second, so at the moment it doesn't have a value. Then we put sum at the top of the stack. We've got number 1 equals 5 and number 1 equals 6. The execution of the method sum adds together the values of the variables number 1 and number 2. The command returns the sum of the numbers to the method that is one beneath it in the call stack, the method start in this case. So you can see that we've got the start method here and the sum method has gone off it. The return value is set as the value of the variable sum. So there we go, we've got our updated answer. After that, the print command is executed and then we return to the main method. Once the execution reaches the end of the main method, the execution of the program ends. Okay, so you can go through that if you'd like to, just to view that. There we go. So, method calling another method. As we noticed earlier, other methods can be called from within methods. An additional example of this technique is given below. We'll create the method multiplication table that prints the multiplication table of a given number. The multiplication table prints the rows with the help of the print multiplication table row method. So we have got a static method with a void return. It's expecting one parameter. I've got int number 1, and while number is less than or equal to max, print the multiplication out, and then number plus plus. Then here we've got our print multiplication table row, int number, int coefficient, printable equals number. Okay, so it's just print, well, like they said, it's just printing out the multiplication. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6, and 3, 6, 9. The output of the method call multiplication table 3, for instance, looks like this. Okay. Below is a visualization of the method call multiplication table 3. Notice how the information about the internal state of the calling method is stored in the call stack. 74? Oh my days. So, actually let's go back here. So the first, okay, so we're in our main. The first method to be called is this one here with the argument of 3 passed in. So it jumps straight down here, adds that method to the stack. We've got our int number 1 set. Then we get into this while loop, and then this method is called, so you can see that's added to the stack. We've got the number equaling 1 and a coefficient of 3, which we're passing as max, and then we're working through the while loop, and then when that's finished, there we go, we go back up here, number plus plus. It loops through again, calls the method again and adds it to the stack. We go through the while loop, there we go, and then back up again. Then number is equal to 3, which is the maximum, so this will be the last time we go through it. And then we get the 3, 6 and the 9. It goes back up to number plus plus. It will break out of that while loop, then it will break out of that method and then head back to the main. And there we go. Star sign, 4 parts. So remember on this one, we don't have to submit the whole thing at once, we can submit little bits of it at a time. and check it as we go. So define a method called print stars that prints the given number of stars and a line break. Write a method in the following templates. We've got our template here. So if we call print stars 5, we get 5-star printout. Print star 3 is a 3 printout, and then print star 9 prints out 9 stars. Okay, right, let's get back to NetBeans. Here we are, let's get star sign open. There we are, open the package, and there's the class. So the tests are not checking the main, so you can modify it freely. If the tests don't seem to pass, you should try the methods here in the main to make sure they print the correct shapes. Okay. Okay, so we're going to need a few loops to loop through the printing of the stars while the number is, or the starting number is less than the entered number. Okay, so let's have a go at writing some of these loops then. Oh, there we go. For int I equals 0, I is less than. Oh gosh, what is going on today? Number I++, and then what we need to do is an s out, or a split apparently, s out with a star, and then outside of the loop we'll do a system out for a blank line. Let's give that a run and see what we get back. So we've got 3 stars and 4 lines. I'm just going to test that against this. Why does it keep putting it up here? Let's move this down here as well. Okay, so we've got the first one passed. That's great. Okay, so let's just close that. Let's just pop back to the course here and just see what we need to do for the next one. Print in a square. Define a method called print square that takes an integer that prints a suitable square with the help of the print stars method. So the method called print square 4 results in the following. Oh, okay, so it's just going to be a 4x4 square. Okay, so let's go back to our NetBeans. And what we're going to do is another for loop. So we're going to say for int I equals 0. I is going to be less than size, because that's the variable that's being passed. So less than size, and then I++. And we are going to call the method print stars, and we need to pass a integer to it, because you can see here it's expecting an integer. So what we can do is pass size to it. So let's give that a run. So it hasn't quite printed what I expected. I'm going to get rid of this s out here. Let's run it again. I'm going to drag this over here so I can see it side by side as side-by-side comparison. So we've got that printing, but it's printing a new line in between every run, every star, sorry. So let's get rid of the print line bit and see what we've got. So, right, so now we need to put that in. Let's try it again. There we go, so we've got our 4x4 grid. Excellent. And then these spaces are the other 2 methods that we haven't done yet. Cool, right, let's give that one a test. Make sure that goes back, or comes back okay. Taking a wee while. Great, so we've got some more bits passed. So we just need to do the triangle and the rectangle. Perfect. Let's head back to the website and see what we need to do for print rectangle and print triangle. So, print rectangle. So write a method called print rectangle that prints the correct rectangle by using print stars method. So the method called 17x3 should produce the following. Okay, so we're probably going to use a nested loop. And then print in triangle, create a method called print triangle that prints a triangle by using the print stars method. So the call should print the following. Okay. Alright, so let's head back to NetBeans. just drag that over a little bit. There it is. God, that was painful. Sorry about that. All right, so print rectangle. So we're going to need another loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than height, so we'll use height this time. And then I plus plus. Okay. And then we're going to call print stars. And we're going to pass it width. So we've got this, the loop here that we've just created taking care of the height, and then we've got this taking care of the width, the horizontal stars. So if we give that one a run locally, let's just see what the test case was. So 5 by 6, so 245 by 6, excellent, that's great. And then the last one was print triangle, so let's head back again. Just to jog my memory, so create a method called print triangle that prints a triangle by using the print star method. So call that OK. Okay, cool. Let's head back to NetBeans. And then let's have a look at this one. So we're going to need another for loop. So for int I equals 0, I less than size, I plus plus, I plus plus, and we are going to print stars, and we're going to pass it. So because print stars takes care of our horizontal stars, we are going to pass it I. Okay, so let's see if that works, because we don't, if we pass in a number, we don't really want to be passing 0, but let's give it a run and see what we get back. So it might be that we need to change that to a 1, and then this to less than or equal to. So let's just see what the number is, 3, okay, so that definitely needs to be equal to. So let's try that. There we go, we've got that. This must be the 0, so you see how the horizontal line is printed directly before the start of the next method. This one's got a space in it, so I do wonder if that might not pass. So let's give it a test and see what happens. But like I say, it's an easy fix. All we need to do is change this 0 to a 1 if it doesn't work. Happy days, we've passed. Excellent. So let's close that. I'll just change this to a 1 anyway, and then I'll run it again locally, and then they should print as the previous ones have. So you see you got rid of that space between the horizontal lines and the first star. Okay, so let's get that one closed and head back to here. Just make sure we did get all of our points. Grand. So, astrology, 3 parts. Printing stars and spaces. Define a method called print spaces that produces the number of spaces specified by number. The method does not print the line break. You will also have to either copy the print stars method you proved in your previous answer, or re-implement it in this exercise template. Create a method called print triangle that takes integer size that uses print spaces and print stars to print the correct triangle. So the method called print4 should print the following. Okay, so I'm reading on the second bit there, but let's go back to NetBeans then, and I'm going to open our recent project, which was star sign, and then we can copy these bits in. So let's take print stars, oh, it's already there. There we go. And let's get cracking. So we know our print stars method works. Let's see, so here's our main, which is called in print triangle. So where's Christmas tree, Christmas tree? Okay, anyway, well, let's get this one sorted. So we're going to use a for loop again. So for int I equals 0, I is less than number, which is going to be this number here that is being passed to it, and then we're going to do I++, and then all we're doing on this one, oh, I put an O there, all we're doing on this one is printing white spaces, isn't it? So we'll put that there. So let's just give that a test and see what we get locally. Ran the wrong one. Let's just test it and see what we get back. Right, so we've got these ones done. That's fine. Test spaces didn't pass. So calling should print one character. Now it printed one but was two. Okay, so that might be as simple as just getting rid of that extra space there. Try that again. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. It's because I'm printing the line breaks. So let's try again and see what we get back this time. Oh, did I do it? So I've got this bit working. I took the ln out off the print ln, added the space back in. I just got it a bit the wrong way around. So we've got the first few bits passed. So just wait for that to show you, and then we'll head back to the classroom, or the course, sorry, and then we will begin on the next bit. Brilliant. So there you go, you can see that we've got these first bits passed now. Let's head back here. So printing a right leaning triangle. Create a method called print triangle that must use print spaces and print stars to print the correct triangle. So really it's a square of spaces and triangles. Sorry, squares and triangles. Spaces and stars. So the method called print triangle 4 should print the following. So there's 4 characters on top, 3 of them are blank spaces, the 4th one is a star. The second line we have 2 blank characters and then 2 stars, 1 blank character, 3 stars, no blank characters and 4 stars. So let's get back up to our NetBeans and get that one sorted. So in print triangle we are going to use another for loop. So for int I equals 1, I say quizzically, I is going to be less than or equal to size I++, and then what we're going to do is print spaces, and that's going to be size, no it's not, it's going to be, what's it going to be? Yeah, it's going to be size, -1, and then we're going to call print stars, and we are going to print I. Let's give that a run and see what we get back. Looks like half a Christmas tree. Okay, let's give that a test and see what we get back from the server. So we've got the first 2 parts working, so now we need to do the third one, which is printing the Christmas tree. So define a method called Christmas tree that prints the correct Christmas tree. The Christmas tree consists of a triangle with the specified height as well as the base. The base is 2 stars high and 3 stars wide, and is placed at the centre of the triangle's bottom. The tree is to be constructed by using the methods print spaces and print stars. For example, the call Christmas tree 4 should print the following. Christmas tree 10 should print that. Oh, Christmas tree 10 looks a lot better than Christmas tree 4, but let's go to NetBeans and see if we can get this one working. So let's close this and find our Christmas tree, and let's start with the first for loop, which is going to be very similar to this one, I imagine. So we're going to do for int I is equal to 1 semicolon, I is less than or equal to height, then I++. we are going to call print spaces, which is going to be height minus I. Then we're going to call print stars, and what are we going to do? Let's try 2 times I. Right, it's going to need to be 2 times I minus 1, isn't it? Because if our first one is 1, it will be 2 times 1 minus the 1 will give us 1 back. If it was 2, it would be the second star, sorry, it would be 2 times 2 minus 1 is 3. So that will, yeah, so it's definitely going to be minus 1. We're going to need another loop. Which is going to do our Christmas tree star base. So we're going to say for int I equals 1, oh, not 11, 1, I is less than 3, which is the width, I plus plus, and then we're going to say print spaces, height minus 2, and then print stars, oh, is going to be 3. Let's just give that a run locally and see what we get back. Oh, perfect. Excellent. Okay, let's give that a test and make sure that is absolutely correct. Look at that, passed it. I'm surprised we passed that one actually. I've never, not that I've really looked at it a great deal, but I've never been able to do the Christmas tree one, so that's quite cool. So actually let's just go back to here. Oh my gosh, we finished. Wow, okay. Well, I will complete this end questionnaire then. There's no point in you guys hanging around for that. Let's see what we're doing in part 3. Ooh, lists and arrays. That's going to be good. So we're going to be looking at storing and retrieving data, a bit of debugging. This would be a really, really good, interesting section. Excellent. Well, thank you very much again for joining me. I will get another video done later this week, ready for the weekend. But in the meantime, anything you need any help with, anything you get stuck with, please feel free to send me a message, and provided I've got the time outside of work, I will gladly come back to you and support you as best I can where I can. But failing that, until next time, and happy coding.